In this video, we're going to review installing Quincy. This is just part of our three-part series on installing, upgrading, and removing Quincy. We're just going to do a simple single box install. We'll go over the various pieces of it. But if you are looking to install Quincy on multiple systems, you really need to call Access Data. There are a lot of reasons to install Quincy on multiple systems. I've always used it on a single system. It works great for me. But if you do need the added capability of a multi-box system, again, this video really not for you. Go call Access Data, or whatever, review the documentation or anything that's out there for that type of install, but that's not this. So anyway, let's hop onto the desktop and let me show you. First of all, I've already downloaded Quincy and I've unzipped it. When you download it, it comes as a zip. You can get it from 3 different places. You can get it from the Quincy Forensics website. You can get it from the Access Data website, or you can get it from the Quincy Forensics FTP. If you go onto the support page, it'll show you the credentials you need for the FTP, and you can download it from there. Any one of those places will get it to you. If you're looking for the official released version, though, do not go to the FTP. FTP has really got sort of beta-ish code. It's always a little bit ahead. It's kind of a use at your own risk type thing, but it generally is there, so nonetheless. So I just unzipped this here, and let me explain to you what we've got here. We've got 6 subfolders. You don't need to concern yourself about any of them. We're just going to end up double-clicking on this, but let me explain what they are. The first folder is the evidence processor. You can, in fact, run each install Quincy by running each install separately. You can see here's the evidence processor install. You can see it's 10.22 is the evidence processor we're going to be installing. Let's go back up one level. Then we've got the Collab viewer. That's the Quincy's viewer. Again, we could just install this separately. Every one of these we could install separately. This one is FTK. FTK and Quincy share a ton of components. We lay down FTK every time we install Quincy, and it's obviously installed from here. And then we've got the Quincy server. We've got the Access Data Database Configuration Tool. This is needed to point Quincy at the specific database you're interested in. And then finally, Postgres, which is the database it runs on by default. If you want to install this on SQL, you absolutely can. You wouldn't need the Postgres when you finally installed this. By the way, you could still install Postgres, but when the last step of the installation, we would go into the DB config, and instead of pointing at the default Postgres database, we would point it at the SQL database. But we're going to go forward with Postgres here. So let's go ahead and double click on this. Oh, actually, before I do that, let me review this one file. This is important to know about the README credentials file. I'm going to go ahead and open this with Notepad. And all this is it shows you the credentials that by default ship with Quincy. So the application is going to have an account that's administrator with ABC123. Obviously, you should change this information. And Postgres is going to have the username Postgres with the password ad@password. So anyway, let's just go ahead and double click and run this. All right, asks if it can make changes. We say yes, of course. Okay, here it's unpacking itself. The whole process ultimately takes quite a while, but the part we're involved in, the user interaction, is quite quick and relatively minimal. So we'll just take the video through that and then pause the video and zip to the end. All right, Welcome to the installation wizard for Access Data Quincy Suite. Let's go ahead and click Next. Read the license, accept it. Now you have the option to do default or advanced. And I got to tell you, 99% of the time somebody calls and says they've had trouble with the installation, it's because they clicked advanced, they thought they knew what they were doing, and it didn't work out for them. I've been working on this product for 4 years, and I do not know enough to successfully go through advanced. So I strongly recommend you don't do that. Go ahead, click default. You still have all the optionality at the end. You can go remove components if you didn't want them. There's lots of reasons just to go forward with default. So please click default. Now, let me talk about these two things. Quincy can run as a service or as a desktop app. It's a little bit more satisfying from a video perspective to run it as a desktop app because I'll get an icon. So that's what I'm going to go forward with. But honestly, I would recommend most people go ahead and click it as a Windows service. And that's because there are a lot of advantages to that. It automatically starts, runs as administrator, all these kind of good things. But again, I'm going to go forward with a desktop solution. But I recommend if you're at least in an enterprise class, if you're installing this on a proper server somewhere, go ahead and install it as a service. If you're installing this on your desktop, then actually I recommend, your workstation, whatever, recommend going forward the way we are here. Compulsion licensing, this enables a lot of the mobile phone processing capabilities we offer. I really recommend installing this. You will need to purchase a license if you're going to utilize it. But nonetheless, it's relatively lightweight. It's not a big deal to install it. I think you should just go forward and run with it like this, but your choice. Click OK, and then you accept the Postgres license and go ahead and click Install. And that, I think, is going to be the last major thing we need to do. I think it's going to take us through. I will pause and zip the video forward here. If there's something interesting that I've forgotten that we have to discuss, I will resume the video. We can look at it and discuss it, and then we'll pause again and jump to the end. But I'm gonna stop right now, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, that was enough. Oh, you wanted to hear this guy? No, okay, I just wanted to alert everyone. We've got this message that's popped up here. Database connection information has already been defined. Please select the database configuration or add new configuration for this install. I'm just going to go ahead and click OK and allow it to go through. I don't believe that will affect us in any negative way. This is the database config tool. We're going to go ahead and click the default Postgres, and we do not need to add a configuration. Most cases, I believe you'll only be presented this one. In fact, this screen might not even pop up. I think this has a function to do with my actual setup because I have both databases on this computer. But let's go ahead and just select default Postgres install, close this, and continue on. Okay, the installation process has finished. Nothing eventful happened since the last stop. It very clearly says it's finished. This note, make sure Quincy users refresh their browser caches to update to new updates. This only pertains to upgrades, so don't worry about it. Just go ahead and click finish. It just pops up the message, the installer must restart your system before you can do anything. I'm going to go ahead and click yes, but before I do that, I'm going to stop this video so I don't lose my video progress. But I will rejoin you after I have stopped this, the system has reset, and we're back at the next step. Okay, we finished the reboot process, and I've started up my video system again. Let's see what we've got here. We've got the Quincy server. We've got Quincy. And we've got QView. QView we didn't touch, so this has been here the whole time. But these are certainly new. Let's go check the file system. I want to see what was laid down successfully. We go down here, C. We didn't change the default install, so C should be C program files. access data, and we can see the dbconfig is here, the evidence processing engine, FTK, and Postgres. You notice no Quincy. That's because that is in here. It's a shared component. 7.2 bin, and it should be full, and it is. And so this is app is where all the Quincy stuff is. So this is all good. So it looks like a successful install, at least in terms of the file system and in terms of the icons. But let's see if it actually works. So we right click here and we do run as administrator. And we hope that 3 lines pop up. Bingo, all 3. It tells us it's listening on 4443. We should be able to launch it just by double clicking on Quincy. I have had times when the Quincy icon did not work for me, and I had to manually go into Chrome and just type in an address like this, my computer name, the port 4443, and then login.html. You can also type localhost here. You should know that localhost won't work with the license, but it will tell you whether the install was correct. If you type localhost here, you should get the login screen. You won't be able to go beyond the login screen, but you should get the login screen. Depending on your system, you may be able to see the database here. Mine does not show, but that's not necessarily conclusive. Let's go ahead and log in and see. Oh, I should have said, it's the administrator ABC password is the default. Or see, ABC123. You can find it anyway in that config file we talked about. But, well, listen, we can see it's already installing here. We've got the right version number, and I should run across the license file here, or the license requirement any second. It should show up a screen saying that we need to enter a license. There we go. That's the screen. At this point, you should enter your license number. Let's talk about license numbers. If you've purchased Quincy, you should have gotten an order number with your purchase. To generate your license key, you're going to go to Quincy Forensics. And you're going to go to the support page. And over here, you're going to enter your license number here, your order number, your machine name, and some email, and you hit submit, and it will give you a license key that you can then cut and copy and paste in here. In my case, this is my machine name, so I would enter that as my machine name, and then I'd post it in here. If you don't have an order number, you can get a 30-day license just by clicking enter. It should allow you to use the product for 30 days. Let's see. It's not letting me because I've had a previous install, so I've already used up my 30 days. So I'd need to enter a license here to get beyond this, but I don't really need to for the sake of this demo, because the mere fact that I've seen the screen means that I have successfully installed. So that was installation. Hopefully it was pretty straightforward, and I gave you all the details you need to chart what other path you want to your successful install. But if you have any questions, please post on the message board, and I hope this was helpful.